My name is Michael Weichert, and I am a senior software engineer at ECAD Labs working on the Taqueria project. I'm here today to give you a quick walkthrough and demo of our most recent release, version 0.28.0. I'm currently on the release notes page on our website for the latest release, and if you look through this page, you'll see that there are quite a number of new features, bug fixes, and various other enhancements that have been made in this release. I don't intend to go through each individual change here, but rather we will focus on the most significant changes that we've made. So to get started, I'm just going to go to Visual Studio Code. And what I have open here is just the initial welcome screen that Visual Studio Code will present you when you open it for the first time. In addition, I've opened up the integrated terminal, and we can use this to interact with the Taqueria CLI called Tac, which I already have installed. So up to this release, and including this release, we have always had the init task to initialize a new project. And it is the fastest way to get started, right? You just give it the name of a directory, and it will create the basic directory structure or project structure for you. Pretty simple. Now, Taqueria out of the box doesn't provide all that many tasks for you to complete your development workflow as a developer working on the Tezos blockchain. Taqueria was developed as a plugin-based architecture, meaning to get additional functionality, you'll be required to install a plugin to do that. And so if you are a legal developer, you will most likely want to install our legal plugin. You do that just using the install task. So what this is here is the name of the plugin package as distributed on npm.js. All of our plugins currently are distributed on npm. So now if we execute the Tac CLI again, you will see that we have additional tasks that we did not have previously, right? All provided by the legal plugin. Now what we found is that a legal developer, for instance, would not only need tasks from the legal plugin, but tasks from a handful of other plugins as well. And so in recognizing that, we thought it would be great if we could come up with a means where the end developer just has to execute one command, and they get a project created for them with all the plugins that they would typically need to facilitate their workflow. And so what we did is we added a new option to our init task to help facilitate that. And we called it workflow. And so we have a workflow for each compiler plugin. And a workflow is basically just a built-in construct that we've shipped with the Taqueria CLI that is associated with a list of plugins to install post-initialization of your project. And so let me show you what that means. So I can type in tac init, specify the -w option, and we'll use the legal workflow, and then just specify the name of the project that we want to scaffold to, or the name of the directory rather, we would like to initialize. And so this might just take a minute, as we have to download and fetch and install the plugins from npm. And now if we run tac in this project, we can see that we have quite a number of tasks available to us. And so to show you exactly what's happened here, we can just open up our Taqueria config, look at our plugin section, and we can see that we have the core, legal, FlexTesa, Taquito plugin installed for us. And so this is great, because normally we would have had to type in tac init to create our project, and then we would have had to type in tac install and specify the install task for each plugin that we would want to install. Right, so we've essentially combined 5 commands into one by this workflow mechanism. So I think it's a worthwhile feature that we added. Now for the rest of this demo, what we will do is we will work off of one of our scaffold projects called the Taco Shop scaffold. So a scaffold is an out-of-the-box taqueria project with included configuration to help you get off the ground running. It'll include typically some smart contracts and maybe a dApp to integrate and interact with those smart contracts. And so one of the scaffolds that we developed is called the Taco Shop scaffold. And it represents a fictional restaurant operating on the blockchain with an app used to order tacos from them. And so that's the project that we'll scaffold out. We do offer other scaffolds like an NFT scaffold, and we expect to develop more in the future. But without specifying any arguments to the scaffold task, by default, this will create a clone of our Taco Shop scaffold project. Similar to workflows, this task will take a little bit longer than just running tac-init without any workflow or argument specified. And that's because it has to fetch and download all the plugins that are part of the configuration of this project. As part of the scaffolding process, we will download any dependencies or initialization required by your React app. And so it takes a little bit longer for the actual project to get created, but now that it's created, we can interact with it. So let's open it up in VS Code, and we'll take a look at what we've all got. I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger, and so here's the basic structure of our project. One of the things included in the Taco Shop scaffold is a contract called Hello Tacos. So this is a contract written in the camel legal syntax. It's composed of multiple files, but the contract itself is rather simple. It has two entry points, a buy entry point used by the end user to buy a taco from the restaurant, and the make entry point used by the restaurant owner to make tacos for sale. We've included a smartpy equivalent of this contract, same two entry points. One of the things that we did here is that we added some unit tests for this contract inline in the contract here. We also added unit tests for the mlegal version, but we decided to put them in a separate file. And that's just to show that you are not constrained by any of our own conventions, that Taqueria itself can be quite flexible. So let's go ahead, open up another integrated terminal here, and we'll compile we'll compile the Hello Tacos contract. We'll do the legal one first, so we'll specify that we're going to use the legal plugin here. And we'll compile that contract. So what this has done is we've created Michelson equivalent artifacts for any files associated with our contract here. And so let's take a look at what those files are. So we already talked about the contract itself. After that, we have this parameters list file. So this file contains a list of legal expressions that we want to compile to Michelson expressions that we can use to invoke an entry point on the contract. We also have a storage list file associated with the Hello Tacos contract, and this includes some possible default some possible initial storage values that we can use when we are originating a contract to the chain. So I think one of the things I'll show next is how we can run the unit tests for our contract. So again, we're just going to specify that we want to run the test task provided by the legal plugin. We want to run it for our Hello Tacos test here. So very, very quick. and all tests have passed. Unit tests are great because they provide rapid feedback to the developer as they're authoring a smart contract. So what we expect actually is that users will look at the example contracts that we provided here and use them as a starting point, and they can go in and start adjusting things. So for instance, maybe initially they were, I don't know, making some adjustments to this make entry point, and they forgot to include some validation logic to ensure that only the restaurant owner can actually make tacos. And the developer can catch that by running their tests. So this time we'll do it for the smartpy contract. And so you can see, right, there's an expected error here, right? And this will force you to actually go review your code and try to understand, well, what did I do wrong, right? And so we can see that on line 84 there was an issue. So let's go down and take a look, right? So this failed, and so we can try to infer from that, well, it must be something related to our make entry point and how it is not throwing the exception specified here. And so we can then add this back to ensure that our contract is working as it should. And now I'll test it passed. So aside from our contracts, we also include some default configuration for your project. So here in our Taqueria config, we can see that we've declared some accounts that we would like included in our project. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 user accounts that we've declared, and we've declared that we would like them to have an initial balance of 3 billion mu-Tez. We've also defined some environments here. Now, an environment is essentially an execution context for a task invocation. Meaning, so this is some context that is given to each task that you invoke or execute on the command line or through our VSCode extension. Now, an environment provides 3 different things. It provides a target, which is an RPC node or a local sandbox. It provides some configuration. So for instance, in this case, we want to customize and override the default block time associated with the Flex Tezos sandbox here. And then lastly, an environment can include state. A good example of this is the mapping between a contract name and the address that was assigned to it when you originated it on chain. And it makes sense that this is environment specific, because if you were to originate a contract on ghostnet and then do the same on mainnet, the address associated with each will be different, right? They are contextual and environment specific. So that's what an environment is. And we also specify that the default environment should be used implicitly when you invoke a task. Now you can override this by specifying the -e option when you invoke a task using Taqueria, but if you do not, it'll use the default environment, which again is set to development here. So as part of working with this scaffold, one of the things we'll need to do is start a sandbox. So let's do that. So one of the things you can see here is that we are generating some account keys, and so we can see that by looking at this new file that was created for us, this config.local.development.json file. So this is an environment-specific configuration file, and what we can see here is that all the accounts that we declared in our main config have now been instantiated in this environment and assigned some key pair information. So So yeah, now that we've started the sandbox, we can go ahead and originate the Hello Tacos contract that we compiled earlier. So let's go ahead and do that. One thing that you notice, it is quite quick. I'll run this one last time just to show how quick it actually is, right? And this is in part due to FlexTeza sandbox being used. So FlexTeza is great for local development. It allows rapid responses, and in addition to that, we made it even faster because in our scaffold we've customized the block time to be 1, representing 1 second. So the default block time for a FlexTeza sandbox, I believe, is 5 seconds. And so by reducing it to 1, we can even get faster feedback to the end developer. So the ability to customize block times is something new to this release, and we think it'll be quite beneficial to anyone working with a local sandbox. One of the other things that we did in this release is also allowed the ability to customize blocking behavior. So for instance, we can disable baking entirely, and this is useful when you want to have more explicit control over the baking process, and often for debugging, it's nice for the end developer to think about things in a linear fashion, and by having control of baking, it helps facilitate that. So to make this effective, we'll just have to stop our sandbox and then restart it. So we'll just do that. Okay, great. And so the next thing that we'll do is we will originate or re-originate the Hello Tacos contract again. Now, when we execute it this time, what we'll notice is that the command hangs or blocks essentially, and that's due to not being able to get any confirmations that the operation was included in a block and baked and injected on chain, and that's because we disabled baking. And so we're going to execute this, and you'll see it just hangs there, right? And that is intended. So what we did add was a bake task, which allows you to bake when you want to bake, right? So we can invoke this to manually bake our block, and you'll now see that this is complete, right? One of the things we also did is we added a watch mode to this command. So by executing this, this will cause the Taqueria to sit and basically wait for operations to be injected into the mempool. And as they get injected, the operations will be baked into blocks on demand. So now if we execute this again, it should get baked into a block. So as you can see, we're just getting some operations injected here. And very shortly it should recognize that there's an operation injected on chain, which it did, and it baked a block and injected that on chain. And so if we go back over here now, we can see that our origination operation succeeded, and we've got a new address back. This address again should now be stored in our environment specific configuration, and this represents the state component that I was referencing earlier. All right, I think what we can do now is we can go ahead and start our React app that was included with the Taco Shop project, and this will allow us to get a better intuition of sorry, just 1 second here. Better intuition of how Taqueria helps facilitate the end-to-end workflow for a developer. So as you can see, this is our React app interface. It's pretty simple. It just shows you how many tacos are actually available in the taco shop or taqueria, and it provides an input box that allows you to specify how many tacos you would like and then order them. Now to do this, we will have to connect our wallet. So we'll go ahead and do that. We say that we want to use the Temple wallet, and yeah, it's saying that, would you like to connect to the local sandbox? It's able to pull this from our environment information, and we want to connect using this this account here, which represents the Bob account. So now that we are connected, we can go ahead and order some tacos. Right, we can actually see that this is going on by watching our operations here, and we can see that, right, we did bake a block here, so that operation would have succeeded, and now we have 40 tacos in the taco shop. What I'm going to do now, I think, is I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop the app as well. And I think what we'll do now is we'll change environments, right? We want to target the testing environment now instead. So we could just set our default environment to testing here. But one of the things that we added in this release was the ability to get the default environment for your project and also set it. So I'm just going to say that I want to use the testing environment now. And you can see that indeed the testing environment was changed to be the default one now. So now we should be targeting ghostnet. So that means I'm going to have to originate the contract on the ghostnet chain. So we'll do that. Now what this is telling me, right, is that it generated a new key pair information, or a new key pair for interacting with ghostnet, and that I need to fund an account to be able to to be able to interact with the ghostnet chain. And so I'm just going to follow its instructions here, right? Go to testnet and click on the target. Click on the target testnet. So that would be this guy right here. And we're going to copy this address that it gives us and request some Tez. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Sounds like it's on the way. Great. We can ensure that this has actually been performed. So we'll just wait for this block to get baked. Usually it doesn't take too long. And there we are. So we can see now that that transaction has been included in a block, and we should have 100 Tez now. So now we should be able to originate our contract to ghostnet. So because ghostnet has a higher block time, this will take longer than deploying to the sandbox, but it didn't take too long, and we were able to get a contract address back, right? And so this time, that state will be persisted to the environment configuration file for the testing environment, which you can see here. Right? We can also see that this account here was added to our configuration for us, right? And so one of the things that we'll do is we will add this account to our Temple wallet, and we will restart the app and order tacos from the taco shop deployed on ghostnet. So let's do that. So I'm just going to run the app here first. Disconnect from this. All right, so now you can see again that we're back at 42. And the reason for that is because the initial storage is being pulled from the contract on ghostnet, not our local sandbox anymore. And note that we didn't have to make any sort of adjustments to the app, right? All we did was stop it and restart it, and it was able to recognize that we changed environments. So again, the app is tightly integrated with the Taqueria project, which makes the development workflow rather simple for the end developer. So I'm just going to go ahead here, open my Temple wallet. One of the things I'll do, I'm going to change from my development network, and we're going to select ghostnet instead. Looks like this address already has some Tez, but I'm going to import the address that was created for us. Use the mnemonic seed phrase here. You can paste the entire, it looks like I didn't copy it maybe. There we go. All that's good, so we'll import our account, and you can see that we have a little bit less than 100 Tez, and that's because we had to pay for the gas fee when originating the contract, so we have a little bit less than the 100 Tez that we were initially given. Anyhow, now that we have our wallet and account ready to go, we should be able to order some tacos here. So we'll order 5 tacos. Oh, sorry, I need to connect my wallet first. All right, so we're using our new account. It's automatically configured to use ghostnet. Again, it's able to infer that from our environment information. And yeah, now that we're connected, we can order those 5 tacos. All right, we'll confirm the operation. Because we're deploying the ghostnet, we'll take a little bit longer than a sandbox, but shouldn't take too long at all. And there we go. We ordered our tacos, and again, this hopefully will help demonstrate that it's quite easy to get up and running with Taqueria, and that the Taqueria can truly be used to facilitate your developer workflow from one end to the other. So I will just quickly talk about how the app is able to get information from Taqueria itself. So this is all facilitated by this toolkit package that we developed. So this is new as of this release. So yeah, this package here called the Taqueria Toolkit is what we use in the app, and it can be used to just ask Taqueria, okay, well, what is the current environment? What is the RPC information for connecting to that target? And yeah, it provides the necessary glue to integrate your React app with the rest of your project. One of the last things I'll show before I end this demo is just that we have the Taqueria VSCode extension installed here as well. And so by clicking on this taco activity bar icon, it opens up the Taqueria side panel, and it provides bird's eye view of information about our project and system. First off, right, we can see that we have a green check beside the system check, meaning that our system has all required dependencies to get started with Taqueria. It also tells us what plugins we have installed in this project and what plugins are available to install. We can always click this icon here to install it. We can see the contracts that we have in our project, and there are some tree views here to associate the relevant files with your contract. We can see the artifacts we've generated. We can also see what environments we have and which one is set as the default. We can also run tests that are part of our project. And so the VS Code extension is something that we've drastically improved upon. And yeah, I would encourage anyone to just dive in and explore that new functionality. I hope you've enjoyed the demo. That's all for today. And yeah, hope to hear from you soon. Taqueria can be downloaded and retrieved from our website. Again, to get there, you just go to taqueria.io. You can click on Get Started or try the beta, either or, and it'll walk you through the process of how you can get Taqueria installed on your system. All right, thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.